Excuse me. Yeah, there's a few things. So, Schoolify, their tagline is build and teach and grow. And so I think that's probably a good place to start. So in terms of building an online business, the going from one-on-one to group, it's like a whole nother ball game, right? Like scaling up, managing all the business aspects. So what I really appreciate about Schoolify on the building has been the business administration tools, especially how easy it is to plug in my Stripe account, hook up my calendar, and then just send a link to a parent, and the parent then can register for the class and pay for the class, and I don't have to do a thing. I don't have to invoice after. I don't have to chase them down for payments before, because in order for it to work, they have to pay for the class up front, and they can pay in installments or they can pay for the entire class all at once. It's up to me to set that option, but it's like a no-brainer. So once the class is taught, I get paid, and I don't have to go chase anyone down. And I think as you scale from one-on-ones to, like, if you have 60 students or 100 students, this has been like, I'm just thinking, like, I'm not at that level, but if I were, this would be like a no-brainer, right? Schoolify just takes care of all that for you. And then I want to talk about specifically the teaching experience in the classroom. I didn't use Zoom for a couple reasons. One was I thought Zoom is built as a conferencing. It was built for conferences with like the ability. Oh, I hear someone in the background. Is there good? Okay. Okay, good. Zoom was built for more of a conferencing thing with like, like that you kind of have to like cater to use it as a classroom. I was concerned about two things in particular. One was like compliance. Now I'm not like an expert about having children open up like a Gmail account. I know like with some of the laws, it's like not illegal. It's not legal for kids to have a Gmail account. And there's little issues. I have concerns about kids using like parents' Zoom accounts and how like the legality of that, especially if they're really young, as well as like having kids on Zoom and recording it with privacy issues. And, do the parents trust, like, what am I going to do with those recordings and who has access to those? And none of that seems to be like taken care of, or you have to come up with your own paperwork, stuff like that. The other thing is like kids, I look up on Instagram all the time or TikTok, kids fooling Zoom with putting up a screen and not paying attention, or putting up a lookalike video that it makes it look like. That's impossible on Zoom, on Schoolify. So on Schoolify, I had a couple students, and Schoolify will put a little notification. It gives me the notification as the teacher, as well as the student, if the student has anything else going on their screen. Like if they click off the screen, or if they're messaging, or if they're not paying attention, everyone gets an alert. The data is recorded. I can report back to mom and dad that so-and-so was not there. As well as the kid has to actually like periodically click the screen to progress forward through the lesson with me. So I might progress forward on my screen, but the kid actually has to interact and click forward. And if they don't, within like 3 or 4 seconds, I get alerted, they get alerted, and that's recorded as well. So these are like wonderful attention monitoring tools that, to answer your question, what are my favorite parts? Those are my favorite parts, the ease of the administration and the teaching experience, especially the attention monitoring tools.
So I only started tutoring like independently, I would say January this year. And my journey is quite a bit different from, I would say, the standard tutor profile. I do not want to be fully booked. I want to work as little as possible and make the most amount of money that I can, because I want to rest and enjoy my life. And before I became a tutor, I was a senior engineer at Apple. I was making $300K a year. And then I joined a startup in the Silicon Valley as their head of product. So I was super burnt out. I wanted to have more control over my life, which I think many tutors identify with that. You want to be your own boss. You want to, make your own schedule. You want to have that sense of mission and ownership. So that's why. And then I just stumbled upon Koala Go, and I was like, hey, let me just give it a try. I've never thought about, becoming a teacher or a tutor, but I am bilingual. So I teach English to Chinese children, and I teach Mandarin to American children. So I use it both ways. So, I've always taught like my little nephews in China English. And sometimes we did it just over WeChat video in the past before my tutoring business became a thing. So when I saw Koala, I was like, let me just give it a try. And it was just this very informal process of, finding some random clients who turned out to be they really helped me start my business. They pushed me into starting this basically, which I think many tutors are probably in the similar situation. So for me, it was very intimidating. It was very overwhelming. I've always just, worked for a company, have everything taken care of for me. But now I got to figure out, what to charge, how to get new clients, and then how to, deal with different type of kids' personality through a screen, which only came to me much later that, in person, you are this 5 feet, 6 feet person that's so much taller and with this bigger presence compared to kids. So somehow, they would just give into your presence a little bit more. But when you're behind an iPad, you're as little as they are. So you have not much over them in terms of power dynamics. So all that was new to me. I'm sure Ryan and Joanne, yourself are familiar with that. But for me, that was new. And I was just like struggling with keeping them, paying attention to me and do what I asked them to do. So, which, in January, I think Koala Go, I was probably one of the first users, to be honest. And because I'm a pretty techie person, so I knew I could choose, Zoom or Google Meet, but I wanted something more exciting and be part of something that's like a movement or a mission, something exciting. It doesn't have to be perfect today, but if I see the potential in the team or the tools, I'm happy to just grow with them. That's what I really enjoy. So I chose Koala Go because they had this like very basic version of a playground, which I saw a lot of potential in. I knew that it's not just gonna like stay as a land of grass with some trees. I know that's like a sandbox that they're gonna continue to build. So for all that reason, I just went with Koala Go. I tried it with, I always give this like a free trial to the parents, and I use Koala Go, and the kids just really love it. Like the kids, they don't need too much for their imagination to start running. So, with the little bit of the things in the playground initially of Koala Go, it was enough for us to really build a connection and for them to kind of pay a little bit more attention to me than to the other like 5 different online classes that they had to do before and after the class with me.
Sure.
And I've always just built my own curriculum. I completely tailored it lesson by lesson. That's why, I don't like to take too many clients because I really want to focus on just a few kids with the parents who actually can pay a premium for more attention. So I built my own curriculum in the whiteboard or canvas or classroom, however you call it, in Koala Go. And it's super easy to do. Now you can put PowerPoint, or you can put a PDF file, anything like PNG images. Just, I know a lot of tutors are very creative beings. So I think the whiteboard really has, it's like a sandbox for that creativity. And when you and your students can drag and drop things at the same time, draw together and do all that on the whiteboard, as well as on the co-browser, right? The interactive shared browser, which, if you don't, I think most tutors are not like me that just completely make your own content. A lot of people, especially ESL teachers, subscribe to one or two or three content, right? Like Abridge Academy, Crystal Clear, and then they pull it up in the Koala Go interactive co-browser, and the students and they can continue to interact and do all those things that you couldn't do, to be honest, on any other platform, as far as I know, technology-wise, because it's actually pretty advanced. You can't do that on Zoom. You can't do that on Google Meet. And those are the companies with the most money. But I think it's because they have all the money, but they are not for teachers. They're not for tutors. They don't know that interactivity, how important that is. That could, you could have a great day as a teacher just because you had that one amazing class with a student, because they were so involved, doing things, using their mouse with you, using their fingers on the iPad with you. So too many things going on with Koala. I think many more amazing features coming. So that's kind of also the excitement that I love being part of. They have this new invoicing system like a month or two ago. It was launched a month or two ago. I started using that. I was using Stripe. And again, it was a big company that works totally fine. But I wanted to, but it was boring, like using Stripe, to be honest. It works really well, but it was boring for me. So I use Koala Go because now I teach and invoice on the same platform. And it's, if you read the email that they write, I think there are something coming, like my understanding is for every dollar you invoice, you're going to get some rewards in the classroom or in the playground, which you can use as engagement tool for your students, which, if for every dollar that I do through Stripe is not going to get me anything. So I think the possibility is the most exciting part, that, and this mission, I see these like new, like hundreds and hundreds of tutors joining on Koala Go. And it's just really exciting to kind of add that part to the tutoring part as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the Koala's got a free and they have a paid. So the free, like you can use the 3D, but they were having problems with it working on certain devices. I know, like if you had like a kind of shorted out, like not a really great Wi-Fi service, or your student didn't have a really great Wi-Fi service, then they would kind of glitch in and out, and there were some problems there. So then they created Koala Go, which could be used on absolutely any tool anywhere around the world, on any device. And that's so cool that they have, both pieces, and they still have that Koala 3D as being a free tool. Koala Go is it's a small subscription fee each month, correct?
That's correct. It's
Okay.
$15 if you pay like the annual plan, which is what I do. $15, it pays for itself like in half a class. And if I think it's a little bit more if you subscribe like monthly.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of good as you guys start thinking about it. And I love how like you went into this with the mission of, I'm going to kind of support a startup on this. I love that.
Exactly.
Right? Like you've worked with Apple, you've been a part of that entire exciting world, and you went from burnout to, hey, let me kind of enjoy life doing something that I really love doing. I love tutoring. I love this. Don't you just love that you don't have to go back to school and get a degree for this?
I think for language teachers like me, I got lucky because I didn't have to do extra work to be able to speak those languages.
Yeah, and I love that. And there's other things too that people will go on into that they don't necessarily need to go back to school in order to actually be like a tutor in that area. So I think that's really, really awesome. And I hope it stays that way too, because I think that this just really opens up the ability for so many people to have um another opportunity in life that they can fall forward with, which is amazing. And so, Sarah, do you work with kids that are younger kids or older kids typically?
Yeah, so I work with my youngest official kid is 4.5, turning 5.
Uh-huh.
My oldest kid is 13 years old.
Okay.
So it's like a pretty wide range. However, I have a 5-year-old boy, and his brother is like 2.5 years old, and he always sits like outside of the screen, but I know he's always there. And he always listens. And sometimes when I ask the brother to say something, he would like be the one announcing it on the side, and I can hear him. So I think it captured his attention. And for like a 2.5 years old, like I'm so surprised he can just watch me like for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I also got my mom started tutoring as well, because I keep having, parents reaching out through existing clients. And I was like, you know what? I started doing this not because I wanted to teach like 24/7. So I asked my mom if she could also take on some of the clients.
Ah.
And so I got her trained up on Qualico, and one of her students actually 50 years old. She's like an adult just wanting to pick up a new language. And yeah, I think it's also the interactivity and just the lightheartedness is also going to make the class more fun for the even adults.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, you work with small groups of students, and your last class, you said the Spanish class just ended, correct? That you were doing?
Yep. I said a
And how
couple
many
students, and they were high school kids.
hmm
Was
and
the
how many
age I was
students did you
doing
have
it.
in each of your classes around?
Oh, I just had 2 students in that one. Again, it was just
Okay.
very minimal tutoring again, because it was to supplement some of my own income as
Yeah.
well. So that's like exactly what Sarah, because I do a lot of other things as well. And this was just to like dip my toe in and to give it a go. But I
hmm
did have a class, I had a class of 2, and then I had one student, like a one-on-one. So I got like a good experience of both.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. And you can already see, like, if I'm able to get more students and I can get more into the classes, how much more money that you'd be able to make over time without
Oh
working
yeah.
more hours.
Yeah, it would have been an absolute cinch. But I just started in January, like with Sarah as well. So
Yeah.
like
Oh,
just like
cool.
a new tutor as well, and that's where it's like, well, this obviously could work really well. I'm set up now to do groups. I'm really familiar with the Schoolify, just the platform I was using, and it was really all a matter was inviting some more kids to the class and like
Yeah.
double, triple, quadruple my income for that hour if I wanted to. It would have been nothing, but
Yeah.
first time through, so I didn't want to like take on like 6 kids at once because I didn't know what that was like. But I could
No,
do
I think
that for
that's
sure.
smart. That's smart. Like, and I love that you guys know kind of what your goals are and how far you kind of want to bring this business, and then you're not overworking yourselves with it and doing all of that. So for those of you guys that are watching us inside of Facebook or inside of YouTube, we would love to know, what do you utilize for your tutoring? Are you using Zoom, Schoolify, Koala Go, Koala 3D? Or any of the other tools like Google Meet or Skype? I started off with Skype. And I have
Hmm.
to say that Skype worked absolutely perfect for me in the beginning days. This was back in 2010. So,
Were
2010,
you
it was the only tool I knew. And
were you doing
so,
groups at that
yeah.
time, Joanne?
I don't do groups. I do one-on-one. I do pretty intense instruction in reading, trying to take the kids who have a big gap in their reading level, and I try to close that gap as quickly as possible so that they can begin doing the rest of the stuff in their classroom with ease and not feel like they are the dumb kid in class. So I have tried to do groups specifically with that, but have not been able to get the same kind of results. And so
Mhm.
I've continued with that model just because I love working with the kids one-on-one with my students. I've thought about, if I were to have a group class, what would that look like? And I would definitely use then, the Schoolified tool if I did that, like having a fluency class of kids in grades 3 through 6 that are struggling with their fluency and increasing their fluency and helping them to read faster with more, emphasis and understanding what they're reading and all of that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't be able to do the same exact kind of tutoring that I'm doing with small groups. There was research that was actually done when I was in the school system, and that research said that small groups are just as effective as one-on-one instruction. And then I became a one-on-one tutor. So I had done small groups my entire life in the school system
Hmm.
because they had always said small groups are just as effective. Well, here's the thing. Small groups are just as effective if you're teaching a curriculum, right? Like whether if I'm going to teach a curriculum and I have one student in front of me, or I have a small group of students, it doesn't make a difference. I'm kind of going page by page. But when I'm the kind of tutor that is saying, okay, I'm going to do an assessment on you, find out where the gaps are, and I'm going to now create a program that's going to close those gaps for you.
Hmm.
I can close those gaps so much faster by honing in on the areas that they're struggling with versus
Yeah.
teaching them lesson 1, then lesson 2, then lesson 3, then lesson 4, right? So I think all of those studies were done with curriculums, and they weren't done with people that were able to really hone in on the student in front of them. So
I really like that. I mean,
yeah.
like when I was starting off, like it was the same thing. So I had one student and you had a group of students, and it's like, this is a whole nother, I think we use the word tutor in the United States, at least where I'm from, to kind of to really narrow down to say, I'm going to close the gap for this kid and like the individual attention. But I quickly realized, yeah, like when I'm teaching a group, it is more of a semester, it's a course, and I'm more of a teacher in that regard.
Yeah.
Like use tutor and more of a teacher kind of usage of the word. So it is a whole nother ballgame. But
Yeah.
but luckily, like typically it sounds like this, if you have the skills to close a gap for one kid, you probably have the skills to organize a course. And
It's so funny because I talk to so many people that like come from the classroom and they say things like, I would have no idea how to tutor a student one-on-one. And I just think that's so strange to me. Like, okay, I'm not really sure like what? And that's like, it's so strange to me. But like, yeah, like I could obviously teach a full class of students if I want to. Here's what I hate. This is why I love teaching. Classroom management. I hated it. I hated
Mm-hmm.
having to be the bad guy. I hated to be the police. I hated to have
Mhm.
consequences. I hated to have to, and like when I work one-on-one with my students, I don't have to deal with that. So I get the best of the worlds for me personally. But
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer my full-time job, right? So now I'm also helping tutors and all of that. So it's kind of a side hustle now for me as well. Like,
Right.
okay, I'm making some extra income doing some of the tutoring. I am only taking on, like I've told myself, like I will only take on 12 hours of students at a time. I won't take on more than that because I want to be able to devote my time to being able to help tutors be able to build their businesses. So
Yeah. No,
That's
it's
really awesome that you're sharing all your experiences and knowledge with the group. It's super appreciated in case
Aw.
nobody has told you that today, I'm sure.
yes, thank you, Joanne.
You're welcome.
And
I
Joanne,
love it.
there's this teacher I think you should reach out to. I heard that she was teaching like 10 students at once in Kuala Lumpur.
Mhm.
And I personally like that's a challenge for like the future. Maybe it doesn't seem like appealing to me at the moment to have to like manage that many kids remotely.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was doing that like,
That's
and
awesome.
apparently it was a lot of fun running around together in the playground and then doing all that. Yeah, I'll send you her name. But
Yeah, I love that. I love that this is the best part about our community. Is like there's so many people doing so many different things that like you can totally get ideas from other people, and some people like it is their goal to be able to make that like 6 figures a year. Some people it's their goal to just supplement their income. Some people it's their goal to be able to work with like large groups. Some people it's their goal to work with just a few students because they just love doing it. And oh my gosh, we just have so many different amazing people inside of our community. If you guys are listening to this and you haven't joined us yet, it's a free group on Facebook called the Ultimate Support Group for Online Tutors. Definitely come join us. Anybody who has questions about anything regarding their business, they just pop those in, and there's always somebody there to be able to answer your question. If not, like several people very quickly be able to answer your question for you so that you can do what it is that you love to do and how you want to do it. We all get to be our own boss too. Do you guys love that?
Yes,
totally.
absolutely.
So, Ryan, what is your experience like? Where were you coming from? Did you say you were an engineer before?
No, if you remember, I was actually studying to be a priest.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
right. That's
I
right. But
do
my life
remember
took
now.
Yeah, my life took a different turn. And so, that's kind of when I met you. I mean, I was like, kind of like Sarah, it was a big career turn for me. And I was like, now that I'm not doing this, like, what am I going to be doing? And, like looking for online work, but I also speak Spanish and I have a lot of other skills that I've picked up over the years. I have a degree. And that's when I was like, I could be an online tutor, at least to supplement some income.
Yeah.
And that's when I came across the Ultimate Group, and then I came across you, and then I quickly came across Schoolify, and said like, this is just like a piece of cake in the terms of like getting it all going. I actually had an hour with you, which was really impactful. Thank you for that time. And it's been life transforming. I mean, I've made relationships in the Ultimate Group that have changed my life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's been a lifesaver. And I can see how tutoring as well, just tutoring, building business, supplemental, hobby, full-time. It's a game changer. If you do it, it's not easy. It's not easy, but it is doable. And with all the support that's available through the Ultimate Group, through Koala, through Schoolify, there's so much support and collaboration going on. It's completely doable.
Yeah, and over time it gets easy, right? Because
Well
it's
said.
all about where are you at in the learning process, right? And so I
Right.
talk about these 4 areas of learning where you are um that we have to pass through, in order for something to become automatic. But once it becomes automatic, man, I mean, it is easy. Like I
Yeah.
like turn
After
on my
the
computer and I'm like,
snowball.
all right, let's do this. Like I'm gonna pull up this
Yeah.
resource and go with it with this kid, and we're gonna do this. Okay, we're gonna read this book. I'm like, oh my God, I
Right.
get paid for this. I'm like,
Right.
really? Really?
And
Big
have fun
trip
at
Like,
the
off and go
same
to the
time. Mhm.
I know
Yeah,
it's
and in
awesome.
your group, like what's really good about posting a question anytime is in wherever you are in the learning curves, there's always someone like right before you and right
Yeah.
after you.
Yep.
So you always get like a wide range of perspectives about, like they were just there, or they're there like last week, they were there a month ago, right?
Yeah. 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 It is really cool that we can all connect and support each other throughout
Yeah.
this entire process. So no matter where you're at in the process, know that there's resources and tools to help support you. In fact, we have a new conference coming on out, Impact 2. Save the date. Ryan's going to be one of the speakers. Woo woo.
Great.
And it is going to be July 15th to the 17th. So put that on your calendar, guys, because it is coming. We're going to have a great free event for you guys to sign on up for, be a part of, and it's going to be a great networking opportunity in addition to getting to learn some really great stuff about running your business. So really excited about that. And next week, we're going to be listening to Schoolify and seeing some of the new things that they are having, that they have put into place since the last time I have had them on. Laurent is going to be personally showing us. So I'm excited to see all of those different features and so excited about that. And I just want to say thank you, Ryan and Sarah, for coming on in and joining us. It's kind of funny that we're kind of all in the side hustle
Mm-hmm.
territory now, like, and
Yeah.
side hustle 4.0. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I actually partnered with InfoStack. So for those of you guys watching, inside of InfoStack, there is a link inside of this video that you can click on. But it is like 40 different programs, books, courses, tools, resources, all on running a side hustle. It's called Side Hustle 4.0. Check that out.
Right.
It's over like $5,600 worth of resources for $67. So definitely go check
That's
that
great.
out. That's an amazing, amazing resource. And I feel like if you learn how to run one business online, there's like no limit as to what you can do online. The doors begin to open and you can have multiple streams of income coming on in. You don't have to rely on just one source of income. I have several sources of income that come on in with my business,
Mm-hmm.
catapulted me way above that 6 figures a year range, and that can be possible for all of you guys as well. So continue staying tuned with our community. It's amazing, and thank you guys for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it, and enjoy the weekend.